I mean, there was a guy who thought he was Hitler. You know, he treated Zerka Volume 1.
Yeah.
He gave him all the important people Hitler had to deal with internationally. Auxiliaries. It's called the auxiliary world. You know, what he did was he gave them their auxiliary world. They're living in this auxiliary world, and he made it possible for them to live in that world. Now, that's the extreme of it, but you understand what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then gradually you can correct, slowly.
Well, the correction, I'm assuming that the correction will be having the person looking at herself or himself and being herself. And at the end, even if his person...
Well, it goes in steps. For instance, this man who thought he was Hitler called his wife Eva. That was not her name. When she came to visit and he called her by her own name, we knew we were getting somewhere. Getting closer to the reality. But he lived in a German section of New York where they all spoke German. So the reality for him wasn't so strange. Now, and also another thing. If you're Jesus Christ, you might not want to sit down and eat with your apostles because you never know if there's going to be the food is going to be bad. Besides, who wants to eat their Last Supper?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea of the Last Supper, no, I don't want that yet. So you have to understand the rationale, this whole thing. And then when, in fact, Moreno had such a patient, I mentioned him in my other book, the Quintessential Zerka, when one day he sat next to one of the apostles who had been employed, and ate off his plate. That was the first social contact. He began to trust that man. So it was food that linked them together. Well, you may call it paranoia, but hey, if you're Christ, you have to be very careful who you relate to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I have a saying on the wall of my office. I don't know if you've seen it. Life is a test. It is only a test. If this were your actual life, you would have been given better instructions. I think psychodrama is the better instruction.